Now, on to the next chapter of this morning, dedicated to AI. How can we reboot our AI, our thinking of AI, and how can it help to connect the dots between platforms, media, creativity, and channels? For our next keynote of the day, I am delighted to introduce the Director of Product and Innovation at Xaxis EMEA. So this is the outcome media company and Group M's advanced programmatic arm. His job with his team is then to improve and to develop new programmatic capabilities across display, audio, digital out of home, and new emerging opportunities like in-game. This year, a lot of his focus was dedicated to finding ways to connect different formats and platforms to work together as one unified advertising strategy. Please welcome Artur Semionov.
Thank you very much for the intro. Hello everyone and good morning. I'm very glad to be here. And today I would like to talk a little bit about the AI and machine learning, its current application and programmatic, but also to make it a bit more interesting and inspiring session. I wanted to share with you some of real case studies and application of machine learning outside digital advertising, something that we can use an inspiration of how AI can potentially involve in our industry. And I wanted to kick this off the session with one of these real-life case studies. You might have seen this picture that has been recently shared in the news. This is the picture of Sagittarius A. This is the first image and the first visual evidence of a supermassive black hole at the center of a Milky Way galaxy. It is located 27,000 light years away. So this object is located so far, taking a picture of it is like trying to see a donut on the surface of the moon. So to produce this picture, scientists would need to create a telescope of the size of the Earth. And surprisingly, they managed to find a way to do just that. This picture was produced and shared on the 12th of May by a global research team called Event Horizon Telescope Collaboration. And collaboration is the word to highlight in this project. It was a joint effort of existing observatories from all around the world working together to create a connected network of a single Earth-size virtual telescope. So different observatories were collecting data and taking pictures from different locations, and this data was then combined together for analysis. The problem was, even with all the data collected, there were some certain gaps. There was missing information to produce this final picture. And to solve this problem, researchers and astronomers turned to AI. They developed a machine learning algorithm and provided it with all the data that they managed to collect with these observations, including some other studies that they had on the black holes. And with the power of AI, they managed to connect the dots, fill in the gaps, and produce the first image of a center of our galaxy. Now, to understand how they managed to do this and how we're using this at the moment in digital advertising, I'll need to cover some of the boring stuff as well. Here we go. So, artificial intelligence is a broad term. It's covering a range of system capabilities that can do tasks that can be considered to be smart, such as speech recognition, visual perception, language translation, and decision making. While machine learning is the application of AI, it's a process that is used by the system to learn from the data that's available, learn from the experiences to make the smart decision. And there are several techniques within machine learning that can be used. I'm going to be mainly focusing on the regression. It is a very common application or technique within machine learning that is used to investigate relationships between independent variables and the outcomes. It is what makes machine learning very good and powerful in finding patterns in large data sets. And this is one of the most used and common applications of machine learning in digital advertising. Speaking of which, digital advertising went through a lot and great, incredible amounts of change in the last 3 decades. It was pushed by the rapid innovation in technology, and the landscape grew and evolved in the complex clusters of platforms, formats, and channels. And it will continue to evolve. So to give you a few numbers, in 2010, there were 500 million people connected to the internet in Europe, which was about 65% of total population at the time. In 2020, this number exceeded 700 million, or 97% of total population. At the same time, in the same year, we had more than 2.5 billion connected devices. And this number is expected to reach 4.3 billion by 2025. So we have an increased number of users, more devices, formats, platforms, and all of this produces more and more data sets that we can use in digital advertising. But managing this data, understanding this data, and more importantly, trying to extract valuable action points from this data is a difficult task. And I'm going to use programmatic as one of the examples where machine learning is applied to manage large data sets. In programmatic, there are hundreds of dimensions and metrics that is available. On this slide, we've just plotted a couple of examples. But historically, if we go in the past, we were limited by the tools and capabilities that we had to analyze all of those data points. So for human, it would take hours to look how different data points correlate with the outcomes that we're trying to optimize. So naturally, we were limited by our capabilities, so we had to restrict the capabilities and just look at the certain limited few of those data points and how they correlate. With machine learning, we don't have this challenge. They can handle large data sets. Provided with the goal, machine learning can quickly find patterns in large data sets, find how independent variables correlate with the outcomes we're trying to optimize, and critically, when plugged in with activation platform or like DSP, it can act on those findings and quickly learn this decision making, so evolving as it goes in one continuous smooth process. So with AI, we can now extract the maximum value from all the programmatic data that we're collecting from campaigns. So it's very efficient and smooth process. But it also sometimes can find new opportunities that we haven't seen before and give us some creative ideas. An example of that, I wanted to tell you a story of Alphago. In 2016 in South Korea, a competitive game was played between Lee Sedol, widely considered to be one of the greatest players in Go, and he was facing Alphago, artificial intelligence technology developed by DeepMind. It was a highly anticipated game. Over 200 million people connected to watch it when it was streamed online. To explain a little bit, Go is an abstract strategy board game. It is played between 2 people or players, and it is played on a 90 by 90 board. So it looks simple, and it might be perceived as a simple game, but it's very complex. A number of potential combination of a board is greater than the number of all the atoms in the universe. To put it in our perspective, if we can combine all the computational power that we have globally and let it run for millions of years, we wouldn't be able to find all the combinations that are available in this game. Therefore, to put it lightly, trying to analyze and predict, calculate the moves of your opponent quickly becomes a very hopeless exercise. So this game is considered to be more of a game of art and a game of intuition. It was invented in China 2,500 years ago. So for 1,000 years, humans were playing this game, and therefore it has established strategies, best practices, and common understanding of a good and bad place. And for that reason, this specific game of Alphago and Lee Sedol was sending shockwaves across the community, because some of the decision-making and plays that artificial intelligence was making made no sense and baffled some of the professionals of the game and commentators. The Alphago managed to find some of the moves that was labeled as obvious mistake during the game. And only when the game progressed, it became obvious that it was part of a very creative, unique, unconventional strategies. Alphago won that game, and it was a massive milestone for artificial intelligence. But it also inspired millions and millions of Go players of the game. It managed to find strategies that was not obvious for humans, that was considered to be mistakes. And now these strategies are commonly used by regular players of the game. So the reason I'm talking about this example, I think it's showcased that machine learning is not just pure automation optimization capability. It can also provide tools for creative opportunities, for creative thinking. And machine learning is already, as you know, widely adopted in digital advertising. GroupM estimates that around 45% of total advertising revenue is AI-enabled marketing. And this number is forecasted to grow to 90% by 2032. So a lot of marketers are already using this, and a lot more marketers are planning to use it in the future. But I think we're just scratching the surface. There are certain limitations that we have with current AI capabilities because some of those capabilities are built for a specific platform, for a specific channel, or a specific tool, and therefore they are bounded by those limitations. The next big step would be taking AI outside of those boundaries to create a cross-channel level of AI capabilities. So if we look a little bit back in the first image that I showed at the beginning of the black hole, the reason that picture exists is because multiple observatories work together to collect the data from different locations, assemble into one place, and use the machine learning, the power of machine learning to produce the final image. So like individual telescopes, different channels and platforms can only see a portion of the picture. To drive the next digital decade with AI, we need to be able to find effective ways to collect these connected data sets from different channels and platforms together. With a combined data sets and power of machine learning, we'll be able to harness the most of the data that is available to us at the moment and will be available to us in the future, and can unlock new opportunities that we're not seeing right now. And hopefully bring some of those creative Alphago game-changing moments to digital advertising landscape. Thank you.